Have you ever left a meeting and thought, did that just happen without me? Or have you realized that someone less experienced is getting more visibility than you because they know how to play the game? Well, you are not imagining it. Office politics are real. But the thing is avoiding them doesn't protect you. It sidelines you. And so today's episode is for every newly promoted leader who's trying to stay out of politics, but finding themselves out of the loop. I'm going to walk you through 3 very specific ways to navigate office dynamics strategically without feeling like you're losing your mind or your integrity. So I'm going to cover 3 points. The first one is why politics isn't a dirty word. It is just a misunderstood one. How visibility works in senior roles and what happens when you stay too quiet. And thirdly, how to build the kind of allies that make influence sustainable. So let's get into it. So let's start by rethinking what politics actually is in a corporate setting. So most of us were taught that office politics means playing games, sucking up, and being fake. And a lot of the women I coach are very, very uneasy whenever politics comes up. But what politics actually is, it is simply the informal system of how influence, decision-making, and resources flow. And it is not evil, it is human. And every single organization or structure has its own version of it. The unspoken rules, the power centers, the back channels. And so as a newly promoted senior leader, your job isn't to avoid it. It is to learn how to read it, how to navigate it, and how to contribute to it intentionally. I once coached a VP who had incredible results, and her KPIs were spotless. She was well appreciated, but she wasn't ever thought of for really interesting opportunities. And why? Is because she hadn't taken the time to build any relationships outside of her own business unit. So decisions about new roles or transversal projects were made without her being in the room. So let's pause for a second and get real. I'd love for you to ask yourself, where might you be pretending or thinking that you are above this all, like you're somehow immune to the dynamics, instead of actually learning how to work with them? And I guarantee you, you don't need to play dirty, you don't need to stab people in the back, and you don't need to become someone you're not. But you do need to understand who holds influence and how decisions actually get made in your organization. So something to reflect upon. Think back to a recent decision in your company, one that kind of surprised you, and ask yourself who influenced it formally, maybe, but also informally. How could they have done that? Were you aware that this decision was coming? So one key takeaway from today, I want you to walk away thinking that politics is simply influence in motion. And you don't have to play games, but you do have to be smart. And understanding how power flows, that isn't optional. When you are in a VP, SVP, and of course C-suite role, that is part of your job. That is how things get done, is when you understand how power flows. My second point today is about visibility, because it absolutely isn't vanity. Being visible gives you leverage. And a lot of the women that I work with think that It's about ego. And they say things like, Karen, I don't want to self-promote. I don't want to feel like I'm bragging. I want my work to speak for myself. I get it. But your work doesn't speak for yourself. You need to defend your interests. So if you don't own your ideas, your progress, your leadership, somebody else is going to create the narrative. So visibility isn't about chasing the spotlight, but it is about owning your voice and your point of view in rooms that matter. I have a client. We're working together for 6 weeks. I have a coaching sprint called Catalyst, and this is what we've been working on. She has feared that she sounds too junior when she speaks or when she doesn't speak in meetings. And so she wasn't speaking up. And so we worked on one powerful reframe, because it's not about just talking to say something, but it's adding value. And so the reframe that I would like to give to you today here is, what is valuable for you to share right now? Not what's impressive, because a lot of times we decide to share what we think is impressive, but add value. You can ask sharp, timely questions, and that is not vanity. That is not ego. And when you start to do that, then people start also asking for your opinion. And so for this particular client, she started getting looped in much earlier. That is visibility. So ask yourself, where are you staying silent because you feel safe and comfortable? And ask yourself what it is costing you. Choose one meeting this week and prepare a single point that you will share with your point of view, and say it early. Remember, if you are not in the conversation, you are not influencing the decision. And I know that this is pretty tough love, but if your voice isn't heard, your work doesn't matter. That's how executive visibility works. My third point today is, it's really important to build allies, not just advocates. So many people think that networking or office relationships are transactional. Who can help me? Who can sponsor me? But the smarter move for you and your colleagues is actually to build mutual alliances, especially people of your same level in different departments. You're going to be moving up together in the organization, and having people who have your back, that you can trust, that you can count on, that matters, because they will also defend you. They will talk about you positively in rooms that you're not in. So when an ally sees you as valuable, strategic, collaborative, and you can mutually help each other, they will defend your interests. So start by mapping out your ecosystem. Who is influencing decisions in your area? Who is controlling the budget or the resources? Who has the ear of senior leadership? So this week, I would love for you to think about, how can you understand what matters to someone and show up in a way that you can add value to that? A lot of times it can be people in finance. It can be people in HR. It could be people in the communication department. Identify just one key relationship and ask yourself, what does this person value and how can I support their success? And this isn't about expecting something immediately in return. It is about building relationships. Remember, politics done well is simply influence with intention. So what I would love for you to take away from today's episode is that navigating office politics, it doesn't mean you have to compromise who you are. It means understanding how power moves and choosing to participate with intent. And if this episode hit home and you're realizing it's time to start being more visible, more strategic, more connected, I've got a resource that can help you go deeper. I have a guide called Get Noticed, 20 Ways to Build Visibility at Work Without Feeling Self-Promotional. I will link it in the show notes. And if you are ready to work together and you want some support, you want somebody to give you also their opinion on how you can show up differently, discuss relationships that you could build. Have a look at my coaching sprint called Catalyst. That's where we tackle challenges like this head on with structure, support, and real momentum. All of the links are in the show notes. You can also message me if you have any questions or you're curious. So please take away that office politics, it isn't a dirty word. And you can 100% learn to navigate it in a way that feels authentic to you. So we'll speak soon. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.